Have you ever felt like an outcast, pushed aside by the very people who should have had your back? What if one day those same people came to you, desperate for your help? Today, we're diving into the dramatic and complex story of Jephtah, one of the most controversial judges of Israel, found in the book of Judges. His life is a powerful saga of rejection, leadership, a rash vow, and immense personal cost. It's a story that forces us to grapple with difficult questions about faith, promises, and the consequences of our words. So stick around as we unpack the incredible journey of Jephthah the Gileadite. Our story begins in a region called Gilead, east of the Jordan River. We're introduced to Jephthah as a mighty warrior, but right away, we learn about the painful circumstances of his birth. His mother was a prostitute, and his father, Gilead, had other sons with his wife. When these half-brothers grew up, they drove Jephthah away. They told him, "You are not going to get any inheritance in our family." They saw him as illegitimate, an outsider who didn't belong. So Jephthah fled from his brothers and settled in the land of Tob. There he didn't just fade away. He attracted a group of adventurers, a band of what the Bible calls worthless men, who followed him. Essentially, he became the leader of a company of outcasts, honing his skills as a fighter and a commander far from home. Now, fast forward a bit. The people of Israel had once again turned away from God, and as a result, they found themselves oppressed by their enemies, the Ammonites. For 18 long years, the Ammonites crushed the Israelites in Gilead. The situation was desperate. The elders of Gilead, the very same community that had cast Jephthah out, were at their wits' end. They needed a leader, a military commander who could stand up to the Ammonite threat. And who was the best warrior they knew? The one they had rejected, Jephtah. So they swallowed their pride and went to the land of Tob. They found Jephtah and said, "Come, be our commander, so we can fight the Ammonites." Jephtah's response is so human and understandable. He looked at these elders and said, "Didn't you hate me and drive me from my father's house? Why do you come to me now when you're in trouble?" You can feel the hurt and the bitterness in his words. He was calling them out on their hypocrisy. They only wanted him when they needed something from him. The elders were desperate, though. They replied, "We have turned to you now. If you go with us and fight the Ammonites, you will be our head, the ruler over all who live in Gilead." This was a huge offer. They weren't just asking him to be a temporary general. They were offering him permanent leadership. Jephthah, seeing his opportunity, agreed, but he made sure to seal the deal before God, making the agreement official and binding. With his leadership secured, Jephthah's first move wasn't to immediately charge into battle. Instead, he tried diplomacy. He sent messengers to the Ammonite king, asking a very simple question. "What do you have against me that you have come to fight me in my land?" He was trying to understand the root of the conflict. The Ammonite king responded with an old territorial claim, saying that Israel had taken their land hundreds of years earlier when they came out of Egypt. He demanded the land be returned peacefully. Jephthah didn't just accept this claim. He responded with a detailed history lesson, patiently explaining how Israel had acquired the land. He pointed out that they had not taken it from Ammon, but from the Amorites whom God had helped them defeat. He even said, "Will you not possess what Chemosh your God gives you? We will possess whatever the Lord our God has given us." For 300 years, he argued, Israel had lived in this land without any challenge from Ammon. Why now? He concluded his message by saying, I have not wronged you, but you are doing me wrong by waging war against me. Let the Lord, the judge, decide the dispute this day between the Israelites and the Ammonites. But the Ammonite king ignored Jephthah's diplomatic and historically sound argument. War was inevitable, and this is where the story takes its most famous and tragic turn. As Jephthah prepared to lead the Israelite army into battle, the Spirit of God came upon him. Filled with divine power, he passed through the lands of Gilead and Manasseh, gathering his forces. It's at this moment of high tension and spiritual fervor that Jephthah makes a vow to God. He says, if you give the Ammonites into my hands, whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in triumph from the Ammonites will be the Lord's, and I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering. In his zeal, Jephthah made a rash and poorly worded promise. He was trying to secure God's favor, but he didn't consider the potential cost. With the vow made, Jephthah went to fight the Ammonites, and the Lord gave him a decisive victory. He completely subdued them, and Israel was saved. Jephthah returned home to Mizpah, a conquering hero. Imagine the scene: the triumphant general, the cheers of his people, the relief of finally being home. But his joy was about to turn into the deepest sorrow imaginable. As he approached his house, who was the first to come out to greet him? Not a servant, not an animal, but his daughter, his only child. She came out dancing to the sound of timbrels, celebrating her father's victory. The moment Jephthah saw her, his world fell apart. He tore his clothes, a sign of extreme grief and distress, and cried out, "Oh no, my daughter! You have brought me down, and I am devastated. I have made a vow to God that I cannot break." He was trapped by his own words. His daughter's response is one of the most remarkable parts of the story. She didn't argue or protest. Instead, she showed incredible strength and submission. She said to him, "My father, you have given your word to the Lord. Do to me just as you promised, now that the Lord has avenged you of your enemies, the Ammonites." Her only request was for a 2-month delay. She asked to go to the mountains with her friends to mourn the fact that she would never marry or have children. Her life was being cut short before she could experience these milestones. Jephthah granted her request. After 2 months, she returned to her father, and the Bible says, "He did to her as he had vowed." The text is sparse on details, leaving us to confront the horror of the event. This tragedy led to a custom in Israel, where, for 4 days each year, the young women of Israel would go out to commemorate the daughter of Jephtah the Gileadite. The story of Jephthah doesn't end there. After this immense personal tragedy, he had to face another conflict, this time from within Israel. The men of the tribe of Ephraim were furious. They came to Jephthah and demanded to know why they weren't called to fight the Ammonites. They felt slighted and threatened to burn his house down. Jephthah explained that he had called them, but they never came. A fierce battle erupted between the men of Gilead and the men of Ephraim, and Gilead was victorious. What followed was the infamous Shibboleth test. The Gileadites captured the river crossings of the Jordan. Whenever a survivor from Ephraim tried to cross, they would ask him to say the word Shibboleth. The Ephraimites had a dialect where they couldn't pronounce the sh sound and would say Sibboleth instead. This single word became a password for life or death. The Bible records that 42,000 Ephraimites lost their lives in this civil conflict. After all this turmoil, Jephthah judged Israel for 6 years before he died. and was buried in his hometown in Gilead. So what do we take away from this intense and often disturbing story? Jephthah's life is a powerful lesson on the danger of rash vows and the importance of thinking through the consequences of our promises, especially those made to God. It highlights the pain of rejection and the complexities of leadership. Yet, despite his flaws and his tragic vow, Jephthah is listed in the New Testament in Hebrews chapter 11 in the Hall of Faith. He's remembered not for his rash promise, but for his faith in God to deliver Israel from its enemies. His story is a stark reminder that the heroes of the Bible were real, flawed human beings, and that faith is often messy. It challenges us to be people of our word, but also to exercise wisdom and caution, and to trust in a God who is both judge and deliverer. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the life of Jephthah. It's not an easy story, but it's one full of important lessons. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more stories from the Bible. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What part of Jephthah's story stands out most to you? Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.